Hi, welcome to Life with Steph Beth. Today I'm going to be bringing you more of a sit-down video. If you hear random sounds, it's probably my dog who is currently sniffing my back. Today I wanted to talk to you about Myka and James Stauffer, I think is how you pronounce their name, and the whole situation with them rehoming their autistic son. If you didn't know, I'm autistic. When I heard about this story, obviously I was angry, and hearing other people, they're angry as well. I couldn't imagine the point of view of adoptees. I'm not going to be doing like a whole lot of structure with this video. It's off script. My dog is going to probably distract me this entire video, but I just wanted to talk to you guys about it, hence why it's on this channel instead of my main channel. Myka and James had adopted a boy from China, and they kind of vlogged about that whole entire process on their family channel, and I guess also specifically on Myka's channel or something to that effect. I'm not going to be listing all the sources. There are a gajillion videos out about it right now, a gajillion articles out about it. So I'm going to give you just my thoughts on it, and if you want to see more, there are plenty of well-informed videos to talk about the specific incident if you are not caught up on it already. I think my biggest issue is with why they even adopted this boy. They named him Huxley. They were kind of really monetizing content about Huxley before they ever had him in their home, before they actually had signed papers to adopt him, and all of those sorts of things. A lot of people were very upset with the word rehome because, quite frankly, that's what you say when you rehome an animal, and your adopted child is not an animal. They are a human being that you signed papers to say that you were committed for the rest of your life to treat as your actual child. And apparently, maybe the word rehome is actually more accurate to what they did, only because that is also a term used for how they basically transferred custody of Huxley over to another family instead of going through the adoption agency and having this new family being properly vetted. So he didn't go into the foster system, which I personally am glad about. I don't think that the foster system is that great, but we don't know the family that he was given custody, or the family that got custody of him. So there was no vetting process. There was nothing to make sure that this family was okay to be with Huxley, that it's safe for him, that the home is okay for him. There's nothing, no official investigation to make sure that that place is okay and safe for him. The parents, adoptive parents, the Stauffers, are definitely under fire a lot because I don't like cancel culture. I know that people can be ruthless and awful, and it's just this situation from the beginning really feels like it was either an effort to make more interesting content because Huxley's adoption made their channels grow like crazy. People were there for Huxley content, and the way that there's screenshots out that supposedly Myka had been talking in a Chinese adoption forum about what kind of special needs are not that difficult but other people might think are difficult. Kind of just this, almost this overall appearance of how can I make this about me, and how can I seem like a really good person by doing this process, but not be that hard. And that's kind of how it felt this whole time. It's it's almost it's all about Myka, and how Myka's such a good mommy, and how she's just got this huge heart, and they gave him away to these random people that we don't know because he had more special needs than they were aware of, according to them. The problem is there's plenty of video evidence of her talking about how doctors looked at imaging of his brain doctors looked into this case and said, look, this is going to be very severe. I don't suggest you do this. Now, apparently a lot of people were thinking that the reason they went through this particular route was because they would get a child faster. Just a lot of it feels like they picked out Huxley like a product, and that his storyline sounded really moving. And so they just used a child as a storyline. Now, specifically from the autistic point of view, there's some more details that really upset me. With Huxley, from what I understand, he has level 3 autism. He is non-speaking. Of course, he's very young, so he's like 4 or 5, I think. I think he's 4 now. So, you know, he could develop spoken words later on, who knows? But right now he is a non-speaking level 3 autistic child who has sensory processing disorder, and from my understanding, I've heard that he also had a stroke in utero, which may be what the doctors were looking at when they looked at his brain imaging and were saying, like, this is gonna be an issue. I've seen clips where they were using his meltdowns as content, but the way that Myka was responding made me feel ill. And she was like, oh, are you over yourself yet? Are you done? Are you over yourself? And to me, that is... Not only is this a small child who has come from China, a totally different country, an adoptee, but he's also level 3 autistic. You don't understand meltdowns, and clearly you think it's just him trying to get attention or whatever, and you think that he's just being so mean and selfish. He is an autistic child. Why are you sitting there on camera saying, oh, are you over yourself yet? There's one where he got in trouble for biting, which Without a Crystal Ball went over this a lot on her videos. She is the mother of an autistic child, and she was pointing out that a lot of autistic children might have oral fixations. So if they're biting, get them a chewy. And I really appreciated being able to hear a parent be like, duh, this is how this works, instead of being like, oh yeah, they should have been reprimanded. No, we don't want to encourage biting other children, but we're talking about a high needs child who isn't getting his needs met and is biting because probably of the sensory input. But I've not seen chewies. I don't follow these people though, to be fair. What like broke my heart is in that video, he held his arm out, and apparently he holds his arm out when he wants squeezes. And like, I thought that was the most amazing thing, that this child already knows, I know what will help me. I need this input to help me calm down, to help me regulate. That's amazing to me. But his little sister, or older sister, or whatever, from Myka and James is like one of their biological children, is over there trying to give him squeezes on his arm. And Myka's over there saying, oh, I know you want squeezes, but you can't bite right now. You can't do this right now. And trying to delay his sensory input needs because she wants to make a show on camera about how she's disciplining him over biting people. And it's just really frustrating because clearly this person who's like, oh, I'm an RN and I'm okay with like all these things, and I'm like medically trained, and I'm like seen everything, and we were okay with everything. And what was so annoying was before she adopted him, she was like, yeah, me and my husband, we were like, say if there were 100 conditions, we were okay with like 99 of them. And just like really puffing herself up as like this sweet, benevolent person, and saying that when she heard what Huxley had, that her heart dropped. I'm sorry, but when you think of special needs, one of the biggest things you think of is autism and developmental delays, which was what she knew that this child had. I don't understand. And she was talking about like, oh, I don't care like how hard it's gonna be. He is not returnable. He is my child. My love will overcome everything. And even if he's in a wheelchair and we have to do everything for him, we will be there, we will do this. And yet here we are 2 years later, and you've given him to some other family, and people demanded answers from them because they hadn't seen Huxley in their stuff. And apparently, right after getting rid of Huxley, basically, they went on a trip to Bali that was just so amazing and was like life-changing. I'm sorry, okay, what remorse? What remorse do you have, honestly? It was like they took Huxley, got whatever content they wanted out of him, and then threw him away. He's a human being. There is a screenshot with duct tape on his thumb, which was supposed to keep him from using his thumb to self-soothe, which, as an autistic person, it's frustrating that these people who supposedly are so amazing doesn't understand sensory needs, like even just sensory processing disorder, why he might need to suck his thumb, that you think it's appropriate to put duct tape on a child's hand. I don't understand that. And apparently the people who had used these as receipts for issues with their house and what was going on, their other child, their biological child, is seen in a vlog sucking their thumb, older than Huxley, and apparently there's not a problem with that. So it's just really frustrating. Another thing that I've heard is that he's been put through ABA 30 hours a week, and that was the intensive therapy that everyone was suggesting for her. If you do not know why I have an issue with ABA therapy and why I think this was a terrible move on the Stauffer's part, I will link that. I don't know which side it's gonna be. It's a very long video, but it's an in-depth look at what ABA is, why it's controversial, and what really truly ABA is, what it looks like, and why a lot of autistic people are against it. Thinking about this boy who has been treated as almost less than human in his own adoptive home by people who went to make money off of videotaping his whole journey, is now in ABA therapy, listening to people who treat autistic children like they're just behaviors and they want something and we should just, you know, make sure that they don't do that thing because it's so horrible. And it just, it makes me so upset. Apparently he was in speech and occupational therapy. Somewhere I heard that they dropped that and just continued on with the 30 hours of ABA. Now, in one sense, I can't fault them too much because I know that medical professionals and professionals in the field tend to default to ABA because they've been brainwashed to believe that ABA is like the way to go for autistic children, especially severely autistic children. Again, I disagree. Made a whole video on that. There's also a video where she pretty much immediately cut his hair with a buzzer. So he had like this little fluffy hair, basically like the same length all around. And apparently not, I don't know the timeline specifically, but you know, he's at home and she kind of cuts his hair into like a faux hawk or something like that. And she's over there like, oh, yeah, he was like so upset the whole time. And like she acted like she was inconvenienced by the fact that her trying to use a buzzer on a child with sensory processing disorder and level 3 autism was making him upset, because many autistic people have problems with getting their hair cut, let alone the sound of a buzzer right next to their head. Like, he doesn't know what's going on. And then she says something to the effect of, oh, the boy has hair all over him still, and is like brushing him off. And it just really sounded to me like she was like talking about an object or an animal, and I just didn't like her attitude. And so, purportedly it was because, you know, she wanted him to look cuter. And your autistic child is not an object. It's not supposed to be a part of your aesthetic, and I'm sorry that his haircut wasn't cute enough for you. Like, like she videotaped his meltdowns, or complaining really about his meltdowns, and just did a lot of things that are so insensitive to autistic people, to this child who is going through so much. And then she's like, oh, well, professionals told us that he would probably be better with another family. Yeah, you know what? Maybe. I'm just saying, like, I hope that the family that he's with treats him so much better and doesn't treat him like an animal or a thing, that doesn't treat him like a content farm, doesn't treat him like an object or like an accessory, because it's just so frustrating. But they like said that it was someone with medical training, and that concerns me because I hope that they're not just putting him through hours and hours and hours of ABA. I just hope that's not the case. I don't know. None of us know. People thought he was in the foster care system because that's what had made sense, but no, they went through a process that actually is called rehoming, where they bypassed a lot of legal things to just pass custody onto these people we don't know that have not been properly vetted, and this whole thing makes me really upset. And I don't like the idea of immediately thinking the worst about someone, but Myka does come off as a person who is very self-serving while trying to pretend that she's not, and she really dismissed the idea of Huxley's disabilities and problems, conditions, issues, whatever else you want to call them, as like not that big of a deal. And when she actually had to deal with it, she was like, whoa, can't deal with that. And they seem surprised. Apparently this isn't that big, that uncommon of a thing. I don't understand how people can say that I will love this child as my own and then treat them like an object. I would think that if you are going through the process of adopting a child who you know has severe disabilities, that you would at least take some sort of effort to make yourself as much of an expert on those issues that you can possibly be. But instead, they just pretended like they didn't understand why he was having meltdowns. They didn't understand why he wouldn't like having clipper buzzers on his head. They didn't understand why it wasn't appropriate to duct tape his thumb, or why he would be biting people. Like, I don't understand. I don't think they cared. That's what makes me so angry. I don't think they cared. And I don't know. I know that people have caused her, and she really has caused herself, to lose a lot of sponsorships and stuff like that. I don't know if her life should be ruined or her career should be ruined for it. I don't know. I don't like cancel culture. I think it's gross, but I also think it's super gross that she took a child from what could have potentially, maybe there was another family who really was prepared for someone like Huxley, who maybe didn't name him that. I don't know, I'm just not a fan of the name, but like, that was supposed to be his home, that was supposed to be his family, and they just said, you know, it's too much for us. You know, we've gotten what we wanted out of it, and now the cons outweigh the pros, and we're done. Apparently this is a thing that happens a lot that people don't realize, but that's why you should be like going through the system of fostering, then adopting, in my opinion, because then you can understand if this is really something you can handle. Because saying like this is someone's forever home, this is someone's family, whatever word you want to use, and then saying forget you 2 years later, that's traumatizing. Like, the amount of trauma this child is experiencing in his life, and he's only like 4 or 5 years old, that breaks my heart. And I just hope that he's with someone who actually understands autism, actually understands SPD, actually understands handling a child who has had a stroke already. Like, it just makes me angry. And that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. I know some of you had wanted to hear me talk about it. That's what I have for you. Almost all of the actions that don't make sense really seem to be derived out of selfishness. I think we should hold both Myka and James responsible, not just Myka, even though Myka's the face and the person we heard basically serve herself about how wonderful and nice she is because she was adopting a child with special needs from China. But it's whatever. I don't know. I just like the fundamental misunderstanding of everything. Like, a lot of people who are parents of autistic children didn't sign up for this. She literally knew and signed up for it. And then was like, oop, I don't know anything about it. Oh, we paid a bunch of other people to deal with it and it didn't go away. It was just too much for us. They were literally warned multiple times by professionals how severe this is. And they were like, oh, well, he had more special needs than we knew about. Like, they've been duped. They hadn't been duped. They just, It just makes me mad. So there you go. There's an off-script rant and conversation about my thoughts concerning this. I am horrified about the way that Huxley has been treated, and I am so sorry for him. I just really hope that this new family is such an improvement compared to everything that went down at, I don't know, previous. He's just like 4 or 5 years old. That's it. And he's already gone through all of this, and it just makes me so mad. I just hope that whatever family that they have placed him with is a good family that really does understand autism and really cares about him and is able to get him the help and supports that he needs. I can't with this. Anyway, I hope that you all are having the best week you can. I know the world is trying to be on fire right now. It has been like all year long. And, yep. So this has been Life with Steph Beth. Bye.